it. Course previews back. 2024 PGA already off to an amazing start. If you played PGA DFS this last week and it wasn't like air in your mother father lungs, then I got nothing for you. I hate no-cut events. I hate Birdie Fest. And I was still out in the streets just dancing naked that I got to watch golf. I got to, when I'm out doing something, when I'm playing in the card room, I was still fucking, looking at the guys on Shot Tracker. Well, Shot Tracker was broke, but more on that later. And it was just air in my lungs. God, I love PGA DFS. And let me tell you, new guy, if you don't love PGA DFS, this is probably going to be a hard show for you because I just drink that shit up like Kool-Aid. What's up, new guy? My name's James, better known as the Degenerate75. I'm a DFS content creator who is here to help you get a little bit better at PGA DFS and all DFS because I know a little secret a lot of people won't tell you. This shit be tough, and you're not going to get there with other people's picks and plays. You're going to have to learn how to play the game and have a process. That's what we're doing here. Monday is the best day of the week because we get to get those juices flowing. We had the excitement of Sunday. Now it's a new week. We got 3 days to get our shit together, and then we get to do it again. This is why PGA DFS is the best effing sport in DFS. I will die on this hill. Fight me if you don't believe me. Actually, let's sumo wrestle. We are doing this show every Monday, me and my dude Tambo, and here's our schedule. I do this every Monday. We're going to probably do it at noon, but we had to do it at 1 this week because we got lives, okay? Chill out. Also, I do the emergency stream every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. That's in the Lord's time zone. Of course, I do Showdown, Hoedown, round 3 and round 4. Basically when the round ends. I tweet out the time, figure it out, turn on your notifications. And yes, the big guy is bringing NASCAR this year. That's actually going to be a big thing that I'm going to be doing on someone else's channel if you have deductive reading skills. I bet you can figure it out. But enough of me blabbering. Let me bring in my co-host. Or actually today, he's my expert guest. His name's Toe Tag and Tambo. What's up, you motherfather?
I got the wrong Kool-Aid this morning. I'm definitely excited. I don't know if I'm as excited as you drinking the same stuff, but man, it's back. It was a fun first week. We had a ton of fun. Ship It Nation was crushing. People from dgen75.com were crushing. Lots of conversations in the Discord. It was just good to have it back, even for a no-cut event where the swings can be incredible from one day to the next, obviously, but good to be back. Happy to be here for this show. We had a ton of success and fun doing this for NFL, and now we get to move to golf, which is just getting started. We have a whole giant season ahead. Happy to be here with you, man. Happy to see everybody and all the regulars and new people and everybody in the YouTube chat here with us.
I saw you lurking on the Fantasy Golf World Championship tickets all weekend. I'm going to assume you didn't get there. I would have probably known about that, right?
You definitely known about it. Shout out to my guy Newens. Got the job done there. My guy Jordan over at Ship It Nation got one of the first ones. We were all up there on that board. It's, how these things go. I told everybody that didn't get one this week, or one guy had the unfortunate spot of coming in second, the absolute worst feeling, especially this year, because I don't know if you know this, couple things I saw.
No payoff. No second.
They literally made it winner take all. So your field size is a little bit smaller. You get to go up against, fine. But 2, they also have made it very expensive. Like this week so far, I didn't look at the lobby this morning, but as of last night, there was only one $120, and the rest were all like $1,900 or more. So it was nice to get it if you did get it on the first week. But last year I had 5 second places and did not get into round 1 even. This week though, King of the Desert, baby, 2 seats of the 150. So going to be excited to try and get into that.
Amateur numbers, 7 second places last year, just in Fantasy Golf World Championship tickets.
It's the worst.
Loser, Mr. Bridesmaid. And here's the worst part. At least last year, a lot of those would be like in the $2,000 win. So at least I get $4,000 back for finishing second, right? This year it's just going to be a stone cold kick in the dick when I get second every time.
That's right. Yeah, you got it.
Hey, guys, make sure you're hitting the like over there. For every 50 likes, I will be giving away a ticket at the end that you'll build with me, and we'll put it in the big lottery this week. On my dollar, I'll split it with you 50-50. Never forget, me and Cody hitting $25,000 last year. My goal in 2024 is to beat that. No offense, Cody. So all you got to do, leave a question over there in the comments. Don't ask more than 2. I'm not here to answer your questions all day. And make sure you hit the like. That's all you got to do. Hey, go check out my dudes over at Ship It. That's Tambo's site. And if you ever want to know, the big guy, I just don't do these other sports. So if you want things like NBA, NHL, MMA, all the sports, right? Then you should just go use my code over there. You see that code DGen75 right there? You use that, you get over at Ship It, and then you get all the sports, and you get me, and you get 2 people who share the same process. You got anything that we should add to that, Tambo?
I think you said it best right now. NBA is full focus, obviously, but MMA is back this week. It's been incredible over there. That's one of the things, like, you have the niche sports covered. We've got some of the other sports. It's nice just to pair the 2 sites together and have it all. But the idea is that, like, there's not a lot of great PGA DFS sites out there that don't charge an arm and a leg just to get entry and admission into the site for maybe just projections and a few top plays or something like that. And then on the other side, also you talk about the other stuff like college football. Tonight, I saw 200K up top. I mean, our guy Smarty is in the Discord. Awesome resource that we have. But over at your site, you've got the stone. You've got everything else covered, the projections, all that stuff, what we're going to need to know for a showdown slate tonight with $200,000 up top for this national championship game. So very excited to donate and hop in those streets tonight.
So glad you mentioned that. Me and my dude Bill, my right-hand college football man, we are doing a college football stream behind the paywall, but because it is the last game of the season and I need you donkeys to know how fun college football is for next year, I'm actually going to tweet out the link. So even though it's a behind the paywall thing, I'm going to give you access to our public or to our private YouTube link so that you can come in there and get all the information you need to know before the game. So be looking out for that on Twitter today. If you don't follow me on Twitter, well, go follow me on Twitter at @degenerate75. I will warn you, I'm a YouTube guy, but for whatever reason, I got a bunch of Twitter followers this last week. And if this is my favorite part about what me and Tambo do, everybody else in this industry is just passing around all the slapdicks that lose and bounce around from site to site. Me and Tambo have a different vision. We want to grow PGA DFS. We want to take the intimidation out of it when you've never played it before. We want to make it inviting, make it fun, and this is what we do. They have an entire beginner's guide and education tools over at Ship It, and then I put out my own intro video. Editor, drop it in the chat where it just walks you through the basics of what PGA DFS is and how to play. Start out small, learn the game, and I promise you, you will have more fun with it than you could ever imagine. If you would have told me this 9 years ago, I'd be like, dude, shut up. And now it's my life. Now it literally is my life. I am telling you, it is a different kind of burn. It is a special kind of fun. Check it out. Trust me on this, new guy. All right. We are going to talk a little contest selection. I'm very, very happy early in this season, Tambo, with the contest that DraftKings is putting out. Not necessarily the structure, but just the size of them. If they're going to put this out while football is still going on, I think we are in line for some mega contests for things like the Genesis and these featured tournaments coming up. What are your thoughts so far on them?
Yeah, I liked it. There was even a $55 last week that was pretty nice. Again, not the same bankroll for everyone, but it was a fair payout structure, all that went with it. The fact that there was still big money, $200K up top, $100K up top. There was a lot of different tournaments that you could find there. So I just think in general, it's been solid. And then there's something for everybody's bankroll. We have people winning the $1 3 max or 20 max, things like that, where people are making a run in those. It's anything you want to get into, you can. And you talked about the guide that you have. We got the similar thing over at Ship It Nation where you can get the 2-hour course breaking it all down. We did some previews before the season. Someone asked about the newcomers in PGA, keeping an eye on Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast. Kenny and I broke that down, but there's just lots of good stuff going on. Like you said, and the key is it's happening while football is still on. That makes me really excited for, again, we got Waste Management Phoenix Open coming up. That's going to be a big weekend. Obviously Super Bowl, the last show in town for NFL. But then from there, we get a ton of big events, all the majors, the players, the big signature events, all of that. It's just going to be an incredible season for over on DraftKings especially.
When I'm talking contest selections with you guys out there, right? For all of you guys that are just dipping your toes in the PGA DFS, or you're just finding the site, you've been getting kicked in the dick, kicking the nuts for years. Let me just tell you, you might see guys like me and Tambo playing in the big $20. You might see us playing in those Fantasy Golf World Championship satellites, which just have enormous negative EV on a week-to-week basis, right? But you also got to understand that we have enough bankroll to recognize our equity in the long term. For you new guys, you should never play in this. When you see a third to first, just stay the fuck out of it. It is such a terrible tournament for you. If you're playing $100 this week, this is the last motherfather tournament you should play in, because like the expected EV on a week-to-week basis is like negative 99%, okay? So don't be that guy. And this is one that is a lot better, right? The Drive the Green, not only is it going to be in your price range more, $5 a pop, so you can put more lineups in it, which I think is a good thing. But notice the payout structure, only 17% goes to first. That's a lot better than a third. That's half of a third if you're not great at math. And but I will warn you, when you play in this, there's 36,000 people in it, right? Yesterday afternoon, I was setting second place in this. It's like, you're winning $12,000. I look back 5 minutes later, I'm winning like $200. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Just one guy gets a birdie streak and you're toasting these things because there's so many people moving up and down that leaderboard. And so this is why I'm a big fan of, I don't usually like to play in contests that have more than 5,000 people in it. Tambo, what are your thoughts on these contests when you start talking 10, 20, 50,000 entrants? What would you tell people about them?
I think you said it best. Do as I say, not as I do, I guess. Like I feel like, again, it's all how you get your start and what you want to do and what your risk tolerance is, all of that factors, similar things that we talked to during the NFL season. My first ever big PGA hit was in, I believe it was either 3 or 4. I think it was 4 at the time, to be honest. It was a $4 20 max, $80 is what I was in for. I ended up winning $40K. It was like the second place. First was 100 or something, one of those big weeks. And that was a huge hit, bankroll boost for me back when. So I think Robert Garrigus was in my lineup, if you want to tell how far that goes back. But just to give an idea, that's kind of where you can make your hay at. But I do think one thing outside of everything you talk about, you always break it down good. I've said this for years about the 10% of the pool goes to first, 10% of first goes to 10th, some sort of balance. I wish the tournaments would actually, I mean, this is me. I wish the tournaments would pay out less overall. Personally, like do like a 15 to 18, kind of like how poker tournaments have went to keep it really balanced even more so. Because if you're playing tournaments, you have to know there's some sort of variance in there. And I know they want everyone to keep their money and get some back and be able to play, but it usually affects the top and not the way it should at the bottom. And so that would be one thing I would say. But the other thing is just really focus on this. Focus on what you want your game plan to be. If you are setting up for the entire year, we did this on our education video and broke it down. If you play even $100 a week and that's your idea, when you do it over the entire season, you're talking about 5 to 10 grand if you're including showdown for all those slates for at least round 2, 3, and 4. So break out what you want to see for the entire year, what your ideas are and concepts, then apply it. But I always think you should be getting in some sort of single entry. So whether if you're going to do MME and you haven't played before, probably start at 20 max. Do a 20 max, a 3 max, and a single entry. If you want to start smaller, do a 3 max and a single entry. And the reason I want you picking your single entry lineup is because you never know the scenario you're going to get in that could possibly change your life. You win a $9 satellite as your single entry to a $5.55 ticket. A lot of people get that and then blow their opportunity because they're not comfortable playing that way. You should be able to know that if you get that single entry, how can I apply this? How should I be playing it? Not be afraid, play too safe, all these different angles people aren't sure of. So that's what we're always trying to focus on and teaching you to find your own process, make your own picks and plays and get after it that way. But I definitely think if you're focusing on playing some PGA DFS this season, you should get an idea of how you want to play, how much you want to play, and always incorporate some sort of single entry. So if you land in that spot of one ticket to a Fantasy Golf World Championship, for example, you know what to do with it.
So here's a good example of something I was talking about. Like, of course, it's going to be the contest that I got DraftKings to create, the $10 18 max, right? $30,000 prize pool. First place is 10%. That's perfect. Second place is half of first, which I like to see because I don't want to see first place and then I drop off 80% to second, right? Because then if you get second, you almost feel like you lost, right? And then 10th place is 1/10. Now, maybe a $10 18 max is a little out of your price range, but I'm telling you, they have these good structured tournaments, as Tambo already stated, at all price levels. They have these really nice single entries, right? The $200 single entry this week, pretty nice. Only what is that, 20% goes to first. I would like it to be a little lower, but it's still basically got all the framework of a well-structured contest. So those are the kind of things I'm playing in. And I only got to beat 833 people. That's doable. Beating 150,000 people, not always the most doable, Bob. So there you go. That's some thoughts on contest selection. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. I am going to jump over, give you a quick course breakdown. You know, I see some people doing hour-long course breakdowns. After like 5 minutes, I'm out. I'm going to give you the basics of what I'm thinking, kind of some things that'll be going into my model because the model is life. And you can take as much or as little of it as you want, and then I'll get Tambo's thoughts, and then we're going to price reactions. So first of all, Wildlife, this is, once again, they're out in Hawaii, so it's going to be beautiful out there, okay? Well, we're all freezing our dicks off here in the continental North America. Yeah, I got that in for you, Tambo.
We got snow last night, by the way. We had a snowstorm yesterday.
Snow? What the hell is snow? Yeah. Okay, so it's a par 70, right? It's a not quite the resort course that we saw last week at Kapalua. This is Wildlife Country Club, par 70, only 2 par 5s. The par 5s are they're freebies. If you're not making if you're not 2 under at least on the par 5s, just go jump into the ocean, all right? Go ride a whale out to the middle of the Pacific, okay? Because these two par 5s are laughably easy. They're going to be very scoreable. But from there, this course is actually, it's kind of just a middle, like it's a second shot course in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of playing from either the rough or the fairway because you're not going to see guys just bombing drivers out there. There's not a lot of incentive to just go out there and bomb the shit away out of it. You can get yourself in a little bit of trouble if you do that, especially if you miss left. So what I would tell you is you're really going to want to focus on those guys who are hitting from 125 to 200. There's not going to hardly be any shots over 200, which we hardly ever see, right? Because it's just not the par 5s and the long par 4s on this course that normally lead to those shots. So that 125 to 200, what we will probably call, short to middle irons for these guys is going to be what it is. I need guys who can kill it from that range, get greens and regulations, and have birdie putts all day long, okay? That's what I'm looking for this week. Those are the things I need. If you want to know a little bit about the course, the greens are Bermuda. We saw Bermuda last week. The greens have been firming up over the last few years, but that could also just be due to the precipitation in the area. And really, the big thing that we always got to be looking at is what's the weather going to do. And you can see early on, looking like there might be some spicy weather. And you need to know that these projections are probably a little bit better than Windfinder because I'm not a poor and I can afford the $18.99 a year to give you windy.com. If this weather holds up, I think you will see a score probably closer to the -15 range as opposed opposed to like the minus 24 range that we've seen it get before, okay? So really be monitoring this weather, because to me, it's not always just about, when I look at the weather, there being a wave edge. Sometimes it's about what kind of guys do I want to play when the score is going to be minus 15, and what kind of guys do I want to play when I think the score is going to be minus 24, because different golfers are better in different types of scoring conditions. So that is the basic course breakdown. You're going to get it done on par 4s this week. You better get it done on the par 5s. Bermuda greens, second shot course, 125 to 200, and that's the gist of the course, brother. That is the gist of the course. You got anything you want to add to that, Tambo?
No, I'm with you on the course stuff. People, whoever they want to listen to for it, can go ahead. I actually personally will use it in some cases. Like I think last week, the idea of thinking, again, everyone was, oh, Spieth sucks after 3 holes, or, Thigala, I can't believe he's in the mix. All these guys that are, crushing. It's when you get a course that you have a little bit more knowledge on, and this one we do, then you're going to focus on that stuff. But I let other people handle that stuff. Kenny Kim does it for me on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast. You did a good job breaking it down, but I'm going to still be focusing much more on the DFS aspect of it. I mean, this in the sense of another week where everyone thinks they know everything because we have past history. It's the trends week for sure. We also still have football going on. I know it's the playoffs and everything, and people are winding down on NFL, but we definitely still saw some very condensed ownership last week in some places, and I think we'll see that again here this week. So I know it's a first look, and you and I are literally, like, I'm doing some of my own process right now, just getting live for the show, a true first look, but I'm definitely not one to talk too much about the course and the stats and the where they're hitting it from in certain buckets and all that. I think people forget, like we always say, we're playing a game. I'm playing DFS. You're playing pick the golfers, not you, other people out there saying it. Like I don't need that as much as other people do. So it's never something that I'm going to be heavily focused on.
Focusing on the course, like the course breakdown, course history, the model, projections, all of these are just things that go into the stew, right? None of these are the answer. All of them are part of the stew that you got to make, they're all different little pieces of the recipe that you're going to need to do it. If you just think that it's only about weather, or you just think it's only about ownership, or you think it's just only about the course or the model, I think you're missing the point of it. All of these are pieces, and they're, I don't want to say any of them are super important, but they're all pieces that I think that you should consider. But if you're spending an hour, just breaking down the course, I think you're putting too much weight into that. Now you're falling in love with, I've got to do this, or this guy has a good course history, I've got to play him. Like, I mean, I don't think that you should ever be all in on one aspect of all of the many things that feed into PGA DFS. And if you want to know, go. If you let me do my quick sells. If you want to know about projections, I do think it is part of it, and nobody has sweaty or try hard projections than me. You see it right there, Degenerate 75. Here's all my projections. That's called the Solver. That's the best optimizer out there. Where every week for kicking the nuts, round 1, round 2, round 3, and round 4 showdown, I load my own projections in there and ownership where you can go get them, right? Not only are you getting my projections and my ownership, you are also getting an optimizer, which is going to make the best version of your player pool, right? All you got to do to get this for $24.99 a month. Don't even get me started on what these other fucking price gouging optimizers charge. You can get my projections and the optimizer for $24.99 a month. If you simply just use my little Showdown Hoedown landing page, you better get in there. You better get in there now, because I'm just telling you, the optimizers help a lot. Tambo, I interrupted you. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, I actually interrupted you, but I did want to, I didn't know if you're going to be done that point, because I wanted to add on to that point just to say about what you mentioned where, like, it's just a part of the puzzle. It's also whatever is part of your process. This is why we talk about it and preach it. We're not just saying it, trust your process. We actually teach you how to get one. You just showed your beginner course. We talked about ours. That aside, it's like when someone asked me to late swap in NFL. Do I go to these 2 guys or these 2 guys? I had a pretty good start. Well, what do you usually do? And they think I'm putting it back on them. But one, we talk about like going to the gym. I can't lift the weights for you. You want to get in shape? I can tell you what to do. You have to go actually lift the weights in the DFS gym that we're talking about in this example. But what I'm trying to say is when people say that, it's like, well, do you normally trust the projections and go with the highest projections are for the 2v2? Or do you trust your gut? And I treat it the same way in golf. When someone says, this week I do this, and this week I do that. Now that didn't work. So next week I'm going to switch it up. It's like you have to come up with something that you stick to. If you always do read or follow a good course preview, then you go to your model, then you go to the projections, then you do this. That's why you see some of the same people having success over and over again. They have something that they continuously do and go with that route. If you don't have that yet, it's okay. We can work on helping you get there with all the stuff that we offer. But it is, like you said, there's so many pieces to the puzzle. The last thing I want you to do is go, let me try projections. Nope, didn't work. Let me try this. It's a long season, right? You're playing for the entire season. If I have a bad week this week, 48 more weeks to go or whatever it is, it feels like that you actually get. So just keep that in mind as well.
the best teachers I ever had in high school, middle school, whatever, in my entire life, the best teachers I ever had, when you asked them a question, they never gave you the answer. They would ask you a question back that would make you go find the answer yourself. And that was what I always implemented as a high school teacher. Well, hey, what is the answer to this? I would never give them the answer. If you just give people the answer all the time, or, like in this case, what we think is the answer at DFS, then people are never going to learn how to think for themselves. And to me, that's just always something that I have believed in, that you never give somebody the answer. You make them find it for themselves. You just guide them in the right direction. That's all I'm trying to be. And if you don't like it, well, fucking deal with it. All right, Tambo, we are ready for the best part of the show, price reactions. We have not looked at these. I opened up the tab and I literally blocked out my right eye so I could not see what these prices are. So I have no idea. Something tells me there's going to be some goofy fucking pricing just because I know DraftKings. Let's do this. I'm going to most expensive guy in the field. Who are you guessing before I even bring up the tab?
I do know this one because I didn't get to glance away, and you might be surprised by it. I don't know. Maybe you won't. Right. I was actually surprised by the betting odds. I know it's not the strongest field, but go ahead. Let's
see. Is it Hideki? Wait. Is Hideki? Oh, shit. I thought when you said surprise, it might be Hideki. Hideki at 9,000. Okay, that just caught my eye. All right, old Iceberg Lettuce, who kind of finally, for the first time last week, looked like a motherfather human. Well, he did kind of nuke on Sunday, but everybody nuked on Sunday. So only 4 guys over 10,000. When the field this deep, that kind of surprises me, right? I would have thought probably 6 guys or so above 10,000.
Yeah, the pricing seems to be that way. I don't think it looks too different than what I've seen in the past. The one thing I was trying to look at, again, I didn't get there yet, but I was scrolling down. Like I said, part of mine is always to look just to see, because we're back to a full field, 84 guys under 6,900 or less. So they've done sort of the same thing where there's just so many guys in that 6K range. They're not really fully spreading it out, but they're not willing to go less than 6,000. So we're kind of stuck with it this way, where, like you said, 5 guys above 10K. But I do want to answer real quick before we hop into a dollar bills question. That would matter more to me. He says, how much does your process change from last week to this week? Now there's a cut. We are talking about something entirely different. That's not necessarily changing how I look at the course, the golfers, the things, all those pieces that DJM was talking about, but definitely a strategy piece where last week you could take on a little bit more risk in a stars and scrubs because there's going to be scoring. They're all playing the same course in the sense that it's not as much about the safety as much as who can get those streaks, those eagles, find those points for you. And you could fit more of the top heavy guys in this week, making the cut much more important. You need those 6 of 6s to get through. So that's definitely a different angle to attack from totally. So I do like that question that he brought up.
I will tell you guys two important things to know about Bill. One, that's the guy that will be streaming the college football thing with me tonight, right? The stream that I'm going to share with the public. And the second thing I tell you, he is not as handsome as he is in that picture. I don't know who the hell photoshopped that, but Jesus, Bill, whoever did that, send me that person, because I need a picture like that. I know what you look like, you motherfather. You can't lie to me. All right, so moving on. I first of all, these 4 guys in the 10K probably are the 4 most appropriate guys to be up there. I believe, Iceberg played a little weak last week, but the other Fitzpatrick, Hatton, and Tigala all played just dandy there. And I think if you were just viewing these guys as long-term talent, those probably are the 4 most talented golfers in this field, with the exception of Zalatoris and Decky, who we just always have like injury questions with, right? So right. I feel like the top 4 not so bad.
Yeah, I'm fine with the top 4. The one is like Tigala. Like, how do you think people are going to handle that? Because last week to this week, and there is, like someone asked it earlier, and it's true. Like a lot of the takes on this course are often people that played the week before it matters. They're already in Hawaii. Everything's good. They're just switching islands. The course setup changes. But saying that, the course setup changes, that was the big reason to like Tigala last week, right? And he could spray it a little bit more if he wanted. He could get away with a little bit more. I didn't check yet exactly what he ended up doing for as far as like spraying the ball went, if he just ended up playing super well or not. I'm not sure if you looked that up, but course setup is definitely changing here versus what we had last week.
Now you done piqued my interest. Hold on, let me go see if they have uploaded 50-50. They've even fucking uploaded last week's stats, but whatever. Sentry. I mean, he was just pretty consistent in everything. He picked up strokes at everything, very well rounded. And if you're like, man, his approach wasn't that great, it's only 1.3. You got to remember that his strokes gained approach is being compared to the very best players in the world. So to be above average at that, that's good. And what's most impressive is he actually picked up off the tee, but I think that's because he could get away with it there, Tambo.
That's what it is. I was just gonna say you got to add that into it as well.
Right.
But yeah, you're on the same page as me.
I got to ask this question. I have a weird relationship with the Hobbit, aka Brian Harmon. Okay, I've always thought of him as a grinder guy, right? I thought he was a great play at the Open Championship last year when he won. That just makes sense at the kind of course I think he's going to win at. But I've always had this perception that's what he is. He's more of a grinder. He's never a guy that's going to win you a tournament at -24. But then last week, the dude, what did he get? Like T4 or something like that? He did great. So do I need to change my perception of Brian Harmon not being a guy who can get it done at birdie fests?
Depends how you want to look at it, because I watched your round 4 show, obviously the best in the industry when it comes to that. Put it into our Discord over at Chip and Nation, got everyone behind it. And I know what you said about Brian Harmon on that. You talked about him being the grinder, the Hobbit, usually that. He did shoot a 9 under on Sunday, but I'm not sure if you checked those stats. He lost a stroke and a half on approach pretty evenly across the board, gained almost 3 strokes with the putter, including 2 eagles. So, I mean, he needed a lot to change from what you had pegged him for, which I believe to still be correct, to turn into what he actually ended up getting with the 9 under round on round 4 of the Sunday setup there.
I mean, guy's a luck sacking piece of shit. What can we say? All right, let's get to Corey Connors, a.k.a. Pennywise. Go look at his eyes sometime. You'll see it. I got to tell you, just first instinct, he seems a little overpriced, and I'm all in. Like, I was already thinking this week, I want to play Corey Connors, and now at 9,800, he's priced above Cole, Henley, Decky, Poston, all dudes that people love to play, right? Well, people don't love to play Decky, but he's a good player, right? And he's more expensive than all those guys. I mean, is Corey Connors going to be like 9% owned, and I'm just going to be all in on that guy?
You're the ownership master. You'll have it up by Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure that he's going to be a lot more owned than that. First take is I saw a lot of conversation around Corey Connors this morning. A lot of people betting him, a lot of people liking him for this event. Again, we'll see how it actually plays out, but I will say I think people will come down on Thigala. There's no way he can do it twice. It's not the good course setup for him, so that takes him out of the equation. Do people like Brian Harmon at 9,900? Do they get sucked in? I don't know, but people do like Cole and Henley. So to your point, it's tough there, but I think if Cole and Henley get the majority of the ownership, I think Corey Connors is not far behind them. Again, you can get leverage on whoever you want there. I just think he'll get a little more than 8%. We'll have to wait and see how it shakes out.
What my favorite narrative every week, Chris Kirk won last week. Well, not playing him this week. I mean, is that a thing that you do? Like, I mean, Chris Kirk's a good golfer, and the fact that he won, I think this course is actually a better course fit for him than last week was. So if he's going to be at a discount because people are going to buy into the stupid narrative that good golfers can't play well 2 weeks in a row, are we going to go back to Chris Kirk here?
I don't have a problem with it. I think the main thing I've always seen, and in this case, he goes way up in price, is the time to actually get off of the horse is when they get a huge price increase the following week. If they stay the same, and in some cases they go down because of field strength, and then people are still ignoring, yet they just won a golf tournament against the field that was put in front of them, and then their price drops significantly, then I feel like it's better opportunity to get into. But the other thing back to, so that answers that. The other thing back that the chat mentioned, it is true. Corey Connors, 12th, 11th, 12th, and 3rd here the last four times he's played it. So again, I think there's going to be a little bit of action on him as well.
And I think course history, people are going to weigh course history this week more than they normally do. I've already heard that from 2 different shows, right? Hey,
it's
Nick,
one of the biggest correlation pieces. Yeah.
Nick, thanks for the super chat, you motherfather. Hey, guy in the back, you're going to get a meal Tuesday night. That's from Nick. You got to give the guy in the back a little bit of energy for the Wednesday night stream, right? If you don't feed him on Tuesday, he doesn't get excited for the stream Wednesday, and then the show's just not the same. Yeah. Most important thing you're looking at for golfers this week, in golfers this week, I'll tell you right now, my initial instinct is I just want a guy who has good drive percentage, right? Somebody who's going to be playing for greens and regulations. I think if you're chipping and trying to play around the green and scrambling to save par here, your ass is cooked, bro. So I just want guys who are second shot masters, right? I want dudes who can really be dialed in on that range. I'm going to go look at the stats to make sure that the numbers are actually there to fit the narratives that I already have on my head of who those guys are. But I think this is a second shot course. I don't hear as many people preaching that, so I'm just going to be focused on approach hardcore this week. You got anything different, Tambo?
Well, we'll see by Wednesday, but I have a feeling what I'm going to be focusing on is tee times. We're going to have to wait and see here, but remember, we're back to full field. There's definitely an opportunity to take huge advantage of any potential weather. It's Hawaii. Anything can happen. We have till Wednesday, but that's something I always keep in mind when I get to this course. So that's one note that I had early from part of my process is reviewing previous years. That's something I'll be keeping an eye on come Wednesday evening. I
mean, just look at those fucking winds there. Look at them winds blowing. You see those little red lines on my screen? That shit's real, bro. That shit is real.
Well, in a cut event too, that's like part of the process we talked about earlier and going back to it is when you get that, if you can get a stroke advantage or a stroke and a half, that could be the difference between a missed and a made cut. And there you go. What do we need? We need made cuts. So I'm definitely interested in keeping an eye on the weather as the week goes on.
Tambo, I don't know if it's this coffee getting me all hot and sweaty or if it's this 8K range, but Jeebus, I'm just glancing. I'm in on this 8K range. Benny Ann, I think, is back. I think he is back. I'm a buyer. My projections last week loved him, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, projections? And then the dude just goes out and gets top 5. I was like, I apologize, projections. Siwoo is a guy that really, I had him as one of my sleepers in round 4, and he did not disappoint. He's a guy who's won here before. Cam Davis, Denny McCarthy, Ropat Harris English even showing some life, and then don't forget what Justin Roots shoot, minus 58 in the final round. And you know I'm a slut for Steven Yeager. So it's like, am I just playing every guy in the 8K range? I don't know, but I got to tell you, these guys all seem like incredible values and guys that I can get 3 or 4 of in a lineup.
I didn't know that you had the same love for Steven Yeager that I do. It might be a problem, to be honest, even though we one time saw him shoot a 59. So, that was kind of why I always first heard about him and then went back to him. But I forgot to ask you this because, you touched on it for a minute there with the Zalatoris Decky situation. Did you have a preference there? Did you have any thoughts on either of those guys?
Oh, yeah, I did kind of skip over that. I'm not playing. I mean, Decky I'm interested in, right? Decky played last week. I like to see that. He didn't bitch quit. I mean, he bitch quit mentally last week because if he's not in it, no one bitch quits harder than Decky. But he didn't physically quit, which is important to me. And I'm not buying the Will Zalatoris shit yet. I know that he's an elite long-term golfer, but there's going to be a little bit of adjustment period. I'm not trying to be cute and be ahead of that, so I'm out there. But the Decky thing, if he's going to be under 10% owned, I will be highly leveraged on Decky Matsuyama.
Yeah, but didn't he hit like one of the best shots ever here at this tournament that time? I think it was like a 3-wood into a foot or something on one of the par 5s or something. I can't remember, but he did. He did.
But the bad news is it's Hideki, so he probably 4-putted from a foot. You got to factor that in.
I forget what happened after that. But yeah, I like this 8K range quite a bit. I wonder if after last week, if you remember from last week, I had this in the slate plan over on the site and ended up working out quite well with some of those guys like a Spieth, some of those dudes in there, but the 8K range was completely overlooked because of the no-cut event, stars and scrubs. I get it, all that stuff. But this week, it feels like because it's a cut event, maybe, and because it looks so appealing right now, just at first glance, that maybe more people do end up going back into this range. You just talked about all those guys. I think I like Ann and Kim probably better than Decky on first glance. Harris English had that one really good round last week, so maybe he's back a little bit. I always like Steven Yeager. Keegan Bradley has been mentioned. I think 8,000 for him, under the average price. I don't know. This range is very appealing, so I definitely like it on first glance, but not sure how the total roster construction will shake out as the week goes on.
So first of all, 2 thoughts here. Keegan Bradley is a dude that if I think the score is going to be minus 15, the winning score is going to be minus 15 because of weather, I really like him. If I think the score is going to be minus 22 to minus 24, I like him less. That's why I talk about how the weather can impact how I perceive guys that I want to play in a given week, because I have all these notes, which by the way, I am going to put out this thing called Dejan's Notes. Me and my team are working on it tonight, which will have, because I keep saying all these little things that if you haven't been playing for 8 or 9 years, you don't have all these mental notes on guys that I have. So I'm literally going to put it in a document form where you can have to reference anytime if you're a member over at my site. And the other point I would make is like Harmon, Cole, Henley. This is going to offend some of you, but I literally think they're the exact same golfer as all these guys in the 8Ks, right? So I'm paying $1,000 more for a dude that in the long term is the exact same golfer, right? Those guys are not noticeably better than Siwoo, Cam Davis, Denny McCarthy. So if I can get one at $1,000 cheaper and they're lower owned, sign my ass up all day. That's just playing the game in my world. Do you have any takes on that?
Not much. I think, like you said, at the end of the day, I'm always willing to pivot, especially in these sort of events that we're talking about during NFL season, first golf events back, all these other factors. Like, I have no problem with it more than a player-to-player relationship of like, oh, it's this guy versus that guy. Like, I would just do it because if it gets me different, like somebody asked in the chat, do you think it's going to be stars and scrubs or balance this week? We just talked about, like, in this 8K range, there was a bunch of guys there that I think people could go to, and we were just looking at, and I think that's a setup where it makes me think people will be comfortable with picking their guy in the 10. You said this, I think you said it last week on a show, was like what the common build is, right? Maybe it was on the Mayo show last week. Like it's a 10K, a 9K, couple 8Ks, couple 7s or 3 7s or whatever. I definitely see that kind of being the build this week where people feel more comfortable with that and it makes things better. And there's a cut. So a little bit of scare, people that are playing a bit scared, that type of thing. So I think that's how it's going to shake out early on, but I got no problem making pivots within these.
Just one last thing, guys. Don't forget that pivoting isn't always this guy to this guy. Here's what I can already tell you I'm going to do. If I see ownership pooling here in the 9Ks, I'm just going to go play the 8Ks. And vice versa. If I see everybody getting loaded up here in the 8Ks, I'm just going to make a point to get into this 9Ks because it's the easiest way to just build your roster different. Is just simply look at where the ranges of ownership are and just get off that range. Not get off that guy always. Get off that range. Pivoting isn't always, I'm not going to play this guy, I'm going to play this guy. Sometimes it's, I'm going to play this range instead of this range because that's where all the ownership's going. Keep that in mind. Nick says, "What didn't I just see Nick with a question? Are you standing?" He asked me if I was standing. Nick, I'm not sweating my dick off, so no. After Friday night, I did not realize how hard it was to stand for an entire stream. But I'm gonna do it again. Just I wasn't gonna do it for this one because I didn't want to sit here and die and have to Tambo hear me breathing in his ear the whole time. I'm not kidding.
I was watching.
Dude, it was tough. I literally watched the replay. I had a fucking ring of sweat right here. I was so fucking fat kidding it. That is exhausting, standing up and being a high energy asshole. All right, let's get to the 7Ks, which generally speaking, in my opinion, you're always going to see the grossest donkey chuck in the 7Ks. I think Norn is a guy that is not going to be owned. We didn't see him last week. I think the troll himself, Brennan Todd, has found rumor is he found a bridge to sleep under. So small children in the Honolulu area, be aware. Actually, with just the round 4 meltdown, kind of saw that coming, to be honest. Kuchar, Svensson, Lukey Gloves, Cheesesteak Hoagie. This is a good fucking field. This is a good field, Tambo. Anybody, like, what are you thinking of this, like, upper 7K range? Because I don't think you can do all the 7Ks. I think you got your upper 7Ks and your lower 7Ks.
Yeah, it just goes back to the previous question. Now I can start to see the builds playing out. Again, this is what the first look's for. You can see it. Like, all these names are appealing. Go back to the well on Brendan Todd. And he played last week. Oh, Bhatia played pretty good. I know he fell apart in the end. People love Lucas Glover, Tom Hoagie, Luke Liss, all those guys. Then people have JJ Spawn love or Aaron Rye love. That's going to
people love Svensson too. People are a slut for that guy. I never get it. He's always higher owned than I think he should be, but he is. It always comes in too. What
did he finish in round 4? I was trying to think of that because I'm pretty sure that's been the thing I've noticed with him is that, but it was still only a 5 under. It wasn't that great. Yeah. He started stronger than he finished.
I believe 5 under was like worse than the scoring average for the final round. It was silly out there.
I don't have a lot of like front end picks here to say like I like this guy or I want that guy or have interest there, but I definitely think this does shape how the roster construction is going to look, to my previous point where it looks way more because I was cheating and looked a little bit ahead. I just had the 7K range up on my screen, not to spoil it, but just to say I don't think as many people, besides they're going to pull the trigger on different guys. Everyone gets the ownership spread out, but for your donkey chalk and for where it's going to be, I believe it's going to be in this upper 7K range. And that's true. I don't know if anyone ever heard this point before because it's a new show, but the 7Ks are the new 6s, right? If you played this game long enough, you go back, you used to find 6K guys in full field events get to 12 to 15%, which is the absolute worst when there's guys around them at 0.1%. You're getting insane differences on those guys. But now the 7Ks have taken that on because, like I said, there's 84 guys down low. It either gets spread out or people don't want 79 of them. So there's like only 5 guys they have interest in. So it's the 7Ks where there's 35 guys that people start to gravitate with roster construction and just in general. So I think the upper 7Ks are going to have a ton of chalk this week, just at first glance.
I would imagine there's going to be some really great value in this range. Just standing out to me is Noren Kuchar and Aaron Rye, Aaron Pumpernickel, right? I think they're all going to, because none of those guys played last week. I think they're going to come in relatively lower owned. And, I just know the Bhatia, Brennan Todd, Lukey Gloves, Svensson, Cheesesteak Hoagie, Luke List after he got a lot of people there. Those guys are just, and people always play fucking JJ Spawn. I'll never understand that shit. But I just think those guys are going to be popular, relatively popular, right? So if I'm just looking at the first field pivots, I think it's probably going to be Noren Kuchar and Rye in this range. Oh, there's old Keith Mitchell. Whatever happened to that guy? Is he broke, Tambo? I used to love Keith Mitchell.
What happened to him, man? Like, I feel like it was going so well. He actually was back for a while, and then now it hasn't been the greatest. He does have a 7th and a 14th here, 2 of the last 3 years, but I don't see anything else.
I think the real answer is it's time for him to switch to a hat and quit wearing a visor like a 1980s football coach. Get it together, Killer Keith.
That'd be a good idea.
All right. Andrew approached him. I was all over that dude in round 4. I loved him. And he was like 9 under through like 14. I'm like, I'm the smartest man ever. And then I think he made a bogey coming home. I mean, he still did great, but like he almost broke the slate in round 4 showdown. Here's the rule. I basically got 3 guys that when I see their approaches on, I just autoplay. That's Brendan Todd, that's Denny McCarthy, and that's Andrew approaching him, right? And I saw he was hitting it well in round 3 on approach. I'm in. Is this not just feel like Putnam is like coming in with a little momentum from that really good round 4, 7,500? I think he's gonna kind of get buried as he was only like 6,200 or something last week. I don't think people are going to be excited to pay up for him.
Ooh, I got opposite take. First look thoughts. I think he's going to be one of the highest owned, if not the highest owned in the entire 7K range.
Well, thank you. Thanks for destroying my dreams.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't think people look at the T40 as much as just see sort of those numbers coming in. I saw some people betting him. I saw, some of the numbers on other projection stuff right now that looks like he's going to be pretty popular. So I think that we're going to see him come in with some ownership, but I love your takes on that Sunday round. was phenomenal. I feel like he was super cheap. And like you said, it was a 9 under with a bogey. So he absolutely crushed it on Sunday. I think you had it there. Yeah, you were looking at it before. What was his strike?
He didn't give me the round 4 stone. I was going to show that he was marked as a sleeper on the round 4 stone, but we don't have the round 4 stone up.
Yeah, he was. I was just trying to see something else, but I think it was that. Yeah, either way, I think he's going to get some love here, so that's fine. But, he's a good play for other reasons. You can definitely get different elsewhere if that's where you want to take your stand. This range, though, just has a ton of other guys. Like, I can't imagine anybody below him that gets big ownership, really. When you look from 7K up, people are, mentioning certain guys, but I mean, Gary Woodland's back. Maybe people go there. Maybe people want to play ADDC. I don't know. We had him on the preview pod for Fantasy Golf Degenerates. I know some people were betting him at 80.
It makes me sad Pat's not here to say that name. When Pat does that French accent, I don't know that there's anything I love more.
Oh, I love all the accents are good, but I can't wait for the Pearson Cootie this year when we get to that one a little bit more. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. So I don't know, like, again, just looking at this range, it looks like this is where you're going to be able to pick up all the leverage in the world. I don't really see anyone from 7K to 7,400 that looks like they'll be super popular. I don't know, do people go to Kitayama and Rogers because they played last week? There's others that played last week too. I just mean that people will like down here. I don't see a bunch of names that people are going to want to gravitate.
People do love the Viking. I will warn you. People love the Viking Vince Norman. So I don't think he's going to be popular, but he'll get some ownership. I think over under Billy Horschel 2.5%. What are you going there? I'll go under.
I'll say that or under. Yes.
Yeah. Fucking nobody ever plays Billy Horschel.
And Norman had a horrible week too, so I don't know if people even go there, but.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, not every raid of the villages go well. Okay. Sometimes you get your ass kicked, then you go to the next village and you pillage.
That's the thing. Griot was another one someone mentioned. I don't think he had a great week, but I could go back to him. This course feels like it actually could set up better. I didn't look at his stuff either, but if the fact that, again, sometimes you got to remember this too. This is one thing. Yeah. It hasn't had the best history here, but course history is pretty sticky here. You'll see a lot of people say that and go back to it. That's fine. But the other thing is that it often has been, from my memory, if it serves correct, is that it doesn't really matter as much about what you did the week before at the Century or formerly the Tournament of Champions. It's just that you were there and that you played. Anything can happen when you move it over to the next week, as long as you played the week before. That's how it sort of shook out.
Guy like Nick Taylor played like dick last week, and I'm ready to go right back to him, right? T52, no one's going to see that, but he played last week. Knock the rust off, get back out there, and you got to remember, very importantly, I am a Nick Taylor slut, okay? Canadian Open, I played him, all right? Did he win me a GPP? Maybe. I'm not here to brag, all right? Just casually rolling in 70-foot eagles. That's what you do. I'm a magic man. He would have never made that if I didn't play him in my lineups.
Yeah, he likes the coastal stuff too. Remember, Pebble Beach Pro-Am winner, and he came 7th and 11th here the last 2 years. So I don't hate going back to a guy like him.
The best thing about Nick Taylor is just like when he's in, like he stays locked in. Like he just like when he plays well, he'll usually play well for 3 or 3.5 rounds. I like that about him, right?
That's a good Canadian for you. Very nice guy to you and your DFS lineups, right?
I mean, I love nice guys in my lineups, right? Okay, let's see. Moving down here, let's see. If anybody catches your eyes, just say them. We can't go through every single player.
I want to say one name. The chat's mentioned twice. Do you like EVR? Do you ever play EVR?
Here's the rule. Only at Showdown. I just like, there's so many golfers. I just have my guys that I only play at Showdown. And EVR is the king of Showdown for me, right? Like every week I'm like, Ori good. But I never do that at week long. He doesn't put 4 rounds together enough or even 3 rounds together enough for me to want to play him at week long.
Steven said he had a bad first round, then went well. He just gained all of it with the putter. Like it was horrible. And he still can only get to T22. That's a no cut. One good round of scoring in round 4 that's heavy.
Yeah.
I don't play that guy.
If last week was a cut event, he almost certainly misses the cut.
He's never hurt me except the 2 events that he won or whatever. But everyone's like, oh, but he won those events. Well, if you played him all those other weeks, I mean, you might still be down from the previous events.
Yeah, and you didn't even play him those weeks that he won because he was like 2% owned. So shut your mouth.
That could be true as well, or you didn't get it right on those weeks. And everyone's talking about Ben Coles as well. I'm not sure if you brought any of his stuff up. I don't have.
Ben Coles 5, love him. I mean, I don't love him this week in particular. I just love the guy in general. I'm just a Ben Coles slut. He's done me very well before. Matter of fact, when Cut Sweats put out their little thing, who was the guy that won you the most money? He was like first or second on my list of highest ROI in 2023.
Nice.
Good man. A good man. Austin Eckroat and Mark Hubbard at 7,000. Like just on straight talent alone, don't those guys seem a little low? I mean, if Mark Hubbard is the 6th guy in your lineup, how do you not like that lineup?
Yeah, I like that. I wonder if that'll pick up a little steam, but probably not enough. So I got no problem with it, especially if Coles takes away from him. You could play Hubbard instead. I'm good there. I always play a little bit of Nick Hardy too. Again, don't think it's the best setup. It would have to be based on the factor of at least he played last week and go from there. I didn't really see. I think his Sunday was either bad or good. I can't remember.
Let me save you some heartache in 2024. Just play Nick Hardy at Showdown. All right, thank me later. He's a nuke guy, but he cannot put 3 or 4 rounds together.
That's what it was. It was a good round 4, and I didn't know if you put a play on words there. You said some heartache, but you could say some heartache. Heartache. Got that one? So yeah, you could save me in 2024. I definitely like the idea of just picking some of these guys for Showdown only and just rolling it from there, because you can play them all you want every week in the main slate till you hope to get them right. But if you never get them right, or if you're off them or don't have the right combination when you do get them right, you can lose a lot of money chasing those guys. As like you said, Cut Sweats showed us all.
Seamus Power, another one of those guys, played last week, and it wasn't great, but he played last week, and that has got to mean something. And like Seamus Power is a dude that, I mean, shit, he finished T50th for he was scoring, right? And I think he had a really nice round 4 going on, and then he double bogeyed or something, because I was tracking him. That's just another example of a guy that played last week that I'm willing to go to because they played last week.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Like, again,
Davis Riley played last week, but I just think that guy's fundamentally broken. It's just a note that I have in my head. Davis Riley's broken. All right. Wow. Okay. It's getting pretty ugly down in the 6Ks pretty quick.
We know all these names. People watching know all these names, but man, this is where I was strong. What's your, I guess, to make it more blanketed for the first show and just to try and talk through this for a second, what is your general treatment on something like this event? Everyone's coming off a layoff. We're seeing them for most cases the first time, besides I think there's like 37 or 38 guys that played or whatever. But either way, the 6K range is just loaded with a bunch of guys you're taking shots on. How do you approach this when building your player pool for 20 plus lineups? Like, what's your angle of attack in something like the 6K range with 84 guys?
The two things I would think about in the 6K range is, one, have they played here before? I want guys that are familiar with the course. They don't even have to have the greatest course history. Just guys who've played this course multiple times and have had a chance to get used to it, used to playing out here in Hawaii. It's a different kind of golf this time of year. And the other thing I would look at is just guys who've actually played. I don't want a dude who hasn't played since August. Hell, I don't even want a guy who hasn't played an actual event since October. I want somebody who was playing in November, December, or preferably last week. I'm going to give a big edge to that, because at least I know that they've been a sweaty tryhard out there, like working on their game and not just on vacation.
All the Japanese tour guys down here all play every week, and I've been playing a ton. Like Kanaya, Hisatsune, like these guys have all been playing a ton of events recently on their tours. But again, can't really compare. But I don't know, can you? I mean, like this, it's not like this is the craziest field. This is not a super strong field by any means. So I don't know. There's lots of angles you can approach it from. Also, Kisner, I just saw, is $6,100 hopping out of the booth. He did a pretty good job in the booth. He's done well here in the past.
Yeah, he needs to learn how to look into the camera. You know what I mean? Like, he's always just like looking down. But I guess that's things you pick up after you do it for a while. Wait, Stranger? Jimmy Stranger? That sounds like a 1970s alternative rock guy.
I don't know if it's Stanger or Stanger, but it's pretty close.
Oh wait, I misread it. I choose to read it as Stranger. Okay, like his new nickname, Jimmy Stranger, 1970s alt rock band.
Stranger danger, man. Stay away.
Look, I'm good at numbers, guys. You don't come here for my reading literacy. Let's see. What else do we got? Like this name, I'm not Grayerson. Okay, that last name alone, you got me disqualified. You're disqualified from my player pool. Let's see. Joseph, don't call me Joshua Bramlett. I don't know. Is there anybody? I mean, Neesmith, if I think this is a second shot course, Neesmith can be a solid. Oh, T Dunks. If I think it's going to be minus 24, sign my ass up for T Dunks.
Yeah. Dunks. I think Hayden Buckley fits that.
I'm a Hayden Buckley slut. But his biggest part of his game is off the tee, right? That guy is an absolute master off the tee. And at least in my early perception, I don't think that that's going to be particularly important this week. Like, I think hitting fairways and getting greens and regulation is going to be important, but not just bombing at the shit out there. And that little motherfather can hit missiles.
I remember him, though, because he did so well here last year, I think. Second and then 12th before that. So,
well, then Hayden, fuck me. I guess maybe I should consider him.
Yeah, maybe. They're, like I said, down here, my question that I asked you originally was just because similar, I think of it similar way. My approach, though, is I like to take more stands down low. And so that if I'm right in my diamond in the rough type pick, I am actually going to have multiple lineups with that play versus letting 24 of these guys trickle in at 1 to 3% a piece and just hope they end up in the right spot. It's hard to pick right, but at least when I do, the rest of my stuff will go right. I'll eat the variance in the meantime, but I have a harder time picking the winner up top where all these guys are capable of winning this thing from 8 8,500 and up, I could easily see them winning. I kind of want to mix and match it a little bit more up there, and I can get different in other ways.
All right, guys, the editor just told me in the private chat we have like 140 people in here, only 76 likes. That means we have roughly 65 dickheads in here. So hit the like button, you motherfathers. Editor, you go ahead and do the drawing. We're going to do it for every 50 likes. So do one now. If we get up to 100 likes, we will do another one in a little bit. While he does that, I'm going to give you my sales pitch. Hi, I'm the Degenerate75, and I have a website called degen75.com. You see that right there? Me and Tiger just fucking pumped for golf, right? And you scroll down here, and you go look. And we have this little thing called Golf VIP for $34.99. That includes all of the behind the paywall content I do, the streams that I do, the sleepers while I'm sleepy, all the stuff for week long. It has all of that. Oh yeah, and it has the best tool in all of PGA DFS called the Rosetta Stone. It comes with my ownership. It comes with my projections, and I am a sweaty tryhard, right? If you ever go to a site and somebody sells pitches, we don't really worry about projections and ownership. Well, then that's fine. But I think it is part of the puzzle, and you are going to want to factor it in. You're going to want those to be good. And I also have this thing called All Access, and I'm telling you, those two price tags, look at me, new guy. You're going to want to lock those in. I'm telling you, big things coming. I can feel it. And just one more, a shout out to all my winners this week. Only, I think we had 9 GPP winners yesterday. Can't wait for the new collage. That will be out tomorrow in the newsletter. So be looking out for that. Editor, did you draw the name? The editor drew Rise and Fire Bets. Okay, there you go. I know that guy. He wins. And if we get to 100 likes, we'll do another one. And don't forget me, Tambo, and the Shipper crew, and my crew. We're going to be all meeting up at the Waste Management. We hope to have an itinerary out this week. Start buttering up your wife now. Get your ass out there. Come watch golf. Come have fun. Watch the Super Bowl. It's going to be a blast. It's just community building, man. We just want to, because like me and Tambo aren't like famous, and we want to meet you guys, shake your hands, talk golf, maybe drink a beer if you're a wild man. And that's what it's all about. Having fun, building a community. I hope to see you there. Let's get over to some questions. Tambo, you got any thoughts? I just rambled on real long there.
No, are we ever allowed? Can we tease anything about it yet for the events that we're going to have? We know a couple of the nights where we're going to.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You do it. You're the better salesman here. We've already accepted this.
I'm truly excited. It doesn't exist in Canada. We don't have Topgolf up here, but we're not going to Topgolf. I've been to a lot of different Topgolfs. I love it. I think it's a good time, but I'm excited to check out PopStroke. We're going to PopStroke. I think some type of Tiger affiliation or whatever it might be. I'm not sure, but I'm better. This is what all the bad golfers saying. I'm one of those. I'm better with the putter. So I'm excited to go to this place, PopStroke, get some putting in. We've got it rented out for 3 hours. I believe it's on the Friday night. Anybody that's down there that wants to come join us, we're going to take care of you. You can come out and hang out with us there. The second night, I know we're going to be at the casino. I can't remember exactly which one it is yet, but we'll talk about it as we get closer. I'm sure we'll know full itinerary, but we're going to be there having some fun that way. But I think it's just going to be a good time. We'll be at the event, of course. Definitely going to be there at least,
Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday we'll be at the course. Sure.
And then Sunday, we're still waiting to see the best plan, but we will have some sort of Super Bowl watch party where everyone can hang out together. We're trying to get a pretty good option. If that doesn't work out, we'll get another one, but that's why we don't have the full itinerary plan, but definitely excited for that event after a long, hard football season, doing the content, doing the shows, having some fun with it. It's just great. We all enjoy doing it, but it's nice to get out and then always good to meet people within the communities of our two sites. So excited for that as well.
It's going to be a good time, guys. Going to be real good time. All right, let's get to some questions. Let's see. The editor sent me something in the private chat, up to 83 likes. All right. I guess we'll just reverse engineer these questions. Let's see. If I don't see a question mark, Lucas Glover, if the putter is just average, could he contend for a top 10? I like Lukey Glove's game, right? Like he was actually, I was watching his stats this last week, and the guy's still ball striking, and we've already seen that he can get that cheater putter going. What say you, Tambo?
Yeah, we'll see how popular he gets if I stick with him here, but he definitely pops on paper early on Monday morning.
We need to,
I guess now.
Where the fuck did the thing go? Chat just jumped on me. Mother, father. What is going on here? Editor, the stupid chat sucks. All right. I think it's because people are asking questions. All right. Bill says, do we need a tutorial on how to hit the like? That's right, new guy. Hit the like. Get it together, pal. All right. Anything dumber than playing McCumber? Ooh, nice rhyme. Tyler McCumber is an absolute masher off of the tee, and at the right courses, I will factor him in. But I feel like his biggest strength is kind of neutralized here. Are you a McCumber guy, Tambo?
No, I'm definitely not.
Not a lot of McCumber dudes out there.
No, what was it, like his dad or something was a really good player?
Yeah, I think his dad won some tournaments.
His first name. I like his first name, not the rest.
McCucumber is what I call him. All right, Mr. Pacini says Troy Merritt. Wait, Troy Merritt's 6,100? That seems really cheap for old Troy Merritt. I will tell you, Troy Merritt is a guy that like openly talked about having the putting yips last year, and that hurt my feelings because I'd always thought of Troy Merritt as a nuclear hot putter guy, and ever since I've heard that and I've started tracking his putting, I just can't get over that fear of how bad his putter is, right? He's actually turned into a ball striker that can't putt now.
Have you ever heard of my coined Troy Merritt flowchart? Nobody else in the industry has this, only me.
I need to hear it.
Is Troy Merritt playing? Yes. Is he cheap? Yes. Is there birdies to be found out there? It's a birdie fest. Probably. We think it will be. So if that's the case, then I do play Troy Merritt, and you factor in 6,100, anything you have against him or that you don't like about him, you could try and still fit him in because he's just 6,100. So I'm not going to go crazy, but he would be one of the guys that I would fit into my mix down there. I'll dig in deeper as the week goes on, but I definitely have no problem with just taking a shot on a guy like him at 6,100.
Tambo, for the record, has said that he thinks it's merited. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll be here all week. No, literally, I do golf all week. It's all I do. I love it. All right. Power at 6,900. Nice. You know me, Nick. I already said it. If they played last week, I'm open to it. Yeah. Let's see. If there is if weather provides a wave edge advantage, are you more likely to play round one showdown? Yes, I am. But the problem is with round one showdown is we can project, oh shit, it's going to be windy in the afternoon and then say play morning guys. But this is why I love round two, round three, round four showdown, because not only do we have data of how the guys are playing, but we also have data on how the course is playing. Because sometimes there's parts of the world where just because it's the morning, you assume it's softer, the greens are going to be more receptive. That's not always the case. We saw that a lot in the swing season. So you got to be careful playing round one showdown and realize that it is more guessing than round two, round three, round four. Are you a round one showdown guy, Tambo?
Not at all, unless that's the case. And then I'll actually just take on the risk of just hoping that others that play it for a sweat and not for the advantage. And so then I'll definitely hop in, but that's the only time I really play it. Otherwise, first round leader bets, things like that. Typically there's already money tied up, and then all the money that you're playing, more than enough in play, I should say, not necessarily tied up, is that you're already playing classic slate where you need stuff to go your way too. So if there's a big advantage, I'll play it. Otherwise, don't really care, and I stick to round 2, 3, and 4.
Hey guys, thanks for getting me to 100 likes. We have our second winner, Tad Young. You better be over 18. You better not be a tad too young to be building a lineup with me. I think that's illegal. So I'm gonna need to see an ID check before we build a lineup together, Tad Young. Unless your name is actually Tad Young, which is that's a crazy name, bro. But congratulations. Reach out to me on Twitter. I'm like not famous, so if you like DM me, I'll like reply and stuff. Okay. We know Kirk is not going to be partying after this win. I was going to tweet that out, Nick. I was like, Chris Kirk won. Let's go have a beer. But I was like, people would be like, that's not funny. You shouldn't joke about that. It's like, chill the fuck out, you pussies. But I didn't tweet it. I just thought better of it.
I also think, you do get a little bit more hungover the older you get and things like that. I definitely think he's very capable of getting extremely loaded, partying, and still coming out for the following week on Thursday and being able to play golf. So I never really consider this too much anyways. I think it's actually a bigger deal if it's like somebody wins their first major or something like that, even if it's a younger guy, because it's such a life-achieving moment that it can overwhelm you in more ways than the partying that just goes with it.
But you do know the thing about Chris Kirk and alcohol, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Like for all of you that don't know, Chris Kirk stepped away from the game a little bit because of his relationship with alcohol. He's been back. I think the story is he's sober now. So like I would be the least worried about him partying too much. I don't think he's partying at all.
I'm saying about this narrative that gets brought up when somebody wins. I'm talking about like it happens all the time.
Look,
people like my guy Kenny always says it's like I don't think he'll be partying that much after a win when a guy wins, and I'm like it doesn't really matter who parties. Like anybody at any age is probably able to get over it by Thursday and play professional golf again, the thing that they've been doing since they were 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah. To me, it's more about like first-time winners, guys who aren't used to it. Like if Tigala won, this would be a really big trap spot for him. It's more the media engagement, the excitement, all of those things going on, the whirlwind of winning that. That's just not a great spot. But a guy like Chris Kirk's an effing professional who's been doing this forever. He's going to be ready to go right back out there and play again this week. I promise you. If he doesn't play well, it won't be because he won last week, okay? So anybody that's like, I called it that he wouldn't play well. Well, I mean, like half the time golfers don't play well anyways, right? So like it doesn't matter. It's a fickle game. All right, Oliver says, Dejan, can you talk about your DK rep dipping min prices below 6K? I mean, I just don't think they're going to do it. I've mentioned that before, that the more dynamic you make the pricing, the better. I think that sometimes Scotty Scheffler should be $13,000, and I think that some of these true slapdicks should be $5,000, and they're just not hearing it. They basically have got their formula, and they're going to do it. I'm constantly giving feedback, whether they want it or not, and it just doesn't seem like something they're going to budge out outside of like those really small events, like say a 30-person or 70-person field for like the championship. What do you think about that, Tambo?
Yeah, I've wanted it forever. I think it's easily done, but for whatever reason, it's just easier to also just roll out what continues to work for them and sell out their contest and still have interest in people doing it. So clearly everything is A-okay. I don't think they're going to change it anytime soon, but I would prefer that.
Let's see, Michigan or Washington? Oh, give me Washington. I would love to see a non-blue blood win the national title. Tambo, I assume you don't give a flying shit about college football.
Everyone's on Michigan though, right? Like
Michigan's a big favorite. Got
to take favorite. Money line because some stuff's going to happen at the end. So 4.5's no good, but you bet the money line, and then we'll see how it actually plays out. But I definitely
is the line really only 4.5?
I thought it was when
Oh shit! I haven't even looked at it. That's crazy. I would be betting the shit out of Michigan at 4.5.
It's 5 now. It's the 5, so you're getting
that's
even
still.
better number now.
Hold on, let me go put my ball sack on Michigan real quick. That is definitely happening. All right, let's see. NTF degenerates. What's the best strategy for playing in your members contest? This is a great question. The one guy I'm playing on the Wednesday night stream, sure as shit fade that guy in my contest because he's going to be twice what he is in the regular field. Like Tony Finau, I didn't even look, but I assume he was like 40% in my contest. So never play that guy. And the one guy I'm not playing, commit to him. All in on all three of your lineups. That's just playing the game, right? Because a lot of people that are playing that are going to be influenced on what I say on the Wednesday night stream, right? Yeah. Also, my sleepers while I'm sleepy, don't play any of those guys because they're all going to be like 15% in my contest. Yeah. Tambo, do you ever do that? Like, tell people to do that for your fantasy golf degenerates contest?
We don't have an interactive session with that one because we recorded, so not many people have asked that. But I know on Mayo shows that we do with the lineup builds and things like that, like people entering those, you are going to be duped. There's thousands of people watching the show where we're building lineups and saving them and getting ideas for how we can set up against the field, and people are all entering them thinking that we're building the exact winners, like we know what the exact winning lineup is. So that's what ends up happening. Definitely agree on that part.
Mike says, did Nike end Tiger's deal to sign the big guy? Well, I will tell you, I cannot confirm. I have been, I've been, maybe signing some deals in the background, and I will tell you this, maybe it was Nike. I can't confirm or deny it, but I will tell you, maybe it was Nike.
He's just going to start his own thing, right? Like he already had, I know he had the TW brand.
He's bigger than Nike.
Under Nike. Why didn't he just they must not have wanted to do like a Jordan-esque setup. I don't know. Like obviously Jordan's deal is backloaded from way back when his mom was involved and all that stuff, but still Tiger can easily just go pull his own thing off and have millions of people wearing it instantly. So I think it's going to be a pretty good bet for him. Yeah, that's right.
Tiger, I truly can't think of any athlete. Like he's literally like Babe Ruth of our time, right? I've just never seen an athlete transcend a sport more than Tiger has transcended golf. Like you just don't see that. We saw that back in the day, like you would have these sports figures that were bigger than life for their sport, but you don't see that anymore. And like Tiger's literally the only one since I've been alive. Maybe Michael Jordan, but even I think NBA was going to be okay without Michael Jordan. I just think Tiger Woods is just the most transcendent athlete of our lifetime.
Even with all the bad stuff that happened, he still got through all that too. So
I mean, when people love you, you can do whatever you want. And I bet there's even more bad shit out there, right? Like guys like driving around drunk, almost killing people, snapping his leg in half, nailing Perkins hostess and stuff. Like, I mean, dude's just like a piece of shit, and we don't care. I love him all the same because I don't cheer for Tiger Woods because he's a good person. I cheer for him because he makes golf fun as shit. All right. Ike says, is the beginning info a video that Kung Fu guy getting kicked in the nuts? Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good lesson to remember. We call it kick in the nuts because, guys, if you play week long, you have to have so many things go right to win at week long. Not that you can't do it, but it just like you got to understand that probably 75 to 80% of the time you're going to lose. And if you're playing GPPs, that is expected that you're going to lose at that rate. So this is why anybody tells me, man, I suck at PGA. I've lost the last 6 weeks. Probably lose 6 weeks in a row all the time. I'm looking for about 9 or 10 solid weeks a year and 2 to 3 absolute smash weeks a year. And that is how I pay my bills and stay up at PGA DFS year in and year out being a GPP bro. You have anything different on that, Tambo?
No, I think you said it best. People saying like 3 or 4 weeks bad. I think I'm doing it wrong.
I quit. I'm going to quit because I lost 4 weeks in a row. Shut the
You got to look at it from the overall of it's a long season. If you're in it for the long run, which we are, then that's how it has to be. You just have to know that's part of it, whatever. What I look at is obviously when you continue to not have any type of results, and it could be either a contest selection thing, it could be that you're playing bad, it could be your process isn't sound, things like that, or you haven't been working on one, and you're just trying to take the picks of others and put them all together. I mean, we offer that. You could do it if you have no time on your hands, but the idea is always to make you a better player, get you involved in the game. A lot of people, even our guy Jordan Newens that won the Fantasy Golf World Championship seed, he just got into the golf streets. He watched the video twice, the 2-hour video. got in, started working with some stuff this week, found his own way, and ended up getting to the top with one of those lineups. So he took the plunge and comes away with a ticket. It's the way it goes sometimes.
You love to see it. Travis says, I see some people charging $65 a month for PGA. Travis, I got to tell you, this shit just drives me nuts, bro. So many people will go pay for these, and I know sites that are charging even more than $65 a month. And if I could just tell you, like normal, everyday working guys out there who enjoy PGA DFS, but you still want to have, learn the game and get an edge, is this. Even if you manage to be a break-even player at PGA DFS, which is not easy to do, you break completely even, yet you're paying your tout site a fucking $1,000 or $500 a year for their shit, you're still losing. This is why you should have a site that is giving you the tools you need to become your own good player and do it without price gouging. What a fucking concept. All right, sorry. Shit drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. How does Kitayama rate out this week? I will tell you right after this, I'm going to go make my model video. I put a model together, things I'm looking at, just as something for my members to consider. I walk them through why I'm considering the stats and stuff I'm considering and post the model so they don't have to do it. A lot of people will go to these data sites and they're like, oh, cool, I can build my own model, but they don't fucking know how to do it. Like, I've been doing it for so long, I could do it with my eyes closed. It's cool to have data sites. It's cool to build a model, but if you don't know what you're doing, which, to be honest, most of you don't, then it's cool to have somebody's model who actually knows what they're doing. I provide that for my members over at DGen75. All right, Ship It Nation and DGen75 content, more than worth it. Hey, Chris, you're more than worth it, pal. Thanks for the kind words. Bounce back week for Connors. Tambo, I got to let you answer one. I'm talking too much.
That's fine. I think it's going to be, like I said, he's going to be popular. So, could he do it? Sure. It depends. I only care like what ends up happening around that range, not about Corey Connors, the person or the golfer. I think that, again, with Cole and Henley there, we'll see how it shakes out. But there's also Kirk. There's Hideki, who we talked about. I like Benny Ann and Siwoo Kim down below. Probably will have some Connors. I don't really think it's about him bouncing back. It's just nice that he played last week. So we'll take that at 9,800. You could start lineups with them if you want to just an early thought on a way to get different with them. It might be just to start your lineups with him and leave Harman, Thigala, Fitzpatrick, Hatton, and Ludwig up at the top out completely. That might be a way to do it and get different.
I got two big thoughts on Corey Connors. One, if I'm playing that it's a second shot course, Corey Connors is one of my top 5 second shot guys on the tour, right? And the second thing is that there's going to be rain in the forecast. It makes me like him even more because I know that the rain's going to be going down into the gutters. And where does Pennywise like to hang out? In the gutters. So the small children of Honolulu are going to have to watch out not only for Brennan Todd, but also Corey Connors. For all of you that don't get that joke, just go look at his picture. He has those Pennywise eyes. If you don't know who Pennywise is, read a fucking book. All right, let's see here. All right. How long did it take you to develop a process that your process was legit and not just luck? I was a losing player at PGA DFS for the first 2.5 years that I played. And then I was about a break-even player for about 2 years. So I would say it took me about 4.5 years. But you also got to remember there was nobody in the community really preaching process. And so that wasn't even on my mind of something I needed to be building. But then once I had built it, I realized that I had built a process. And that was what it was about. I'm trying to skip people past that 4.5-year journey to just get them to build their own process and become that break-even player. And when you become a break-even player long enough, eventually you will spike that big one if you have a good process. What do you say about that, Tambo?
I don't have a full memory on this because I've been playing so long. I think it's 7 years now. But I would say the part you said about just being in the game for a long enough time, I think that's part of the problem. Everybody wants to just sign up and win, and that's just not how it works, right? It's like anything else. You want to be a doctor, you go to school for 8 years or whatever it might be. You want to be a lawyer, same type of thing. I know we're only talking about DFS, and this sounds crazy, and most people are just playing it for fun. So good news. You don't have to do it as advanced as we do, but the point would be there's a podcast out there I did. It was called The Perfect Lineup. It was my first big 6-figure score in PGA. I think it's from 5 years ago now. It was basically I lost $5,000 coming in. Everyone's, I deposited $100 and never looked back. That story is bullshit. Yeah, there's probably some people that did it, but that's fine. Mostly people from way back when there was nobody really playing or doing anything. But I think in general, I just knew I love the game. I wanted to get better at it. I actually started in the NBA streets. Got my first big win in NBA. I was down like $5,000-6,000. Came back from there, won a $25K tournament, like for first place, $25K, and then I was hooked and addicted to getting better at it. But part of developing your process, I will say that not a lot of people talk about, is review and analysis. Going back and actually looking at what happened, focusing on not just who won the tournament, because a lot of that can be involved in luck, but find out who some of the better players are, find out what their player pools look like, find out all of that stuff, and go back and actually dig in, and then think of it from that perspective of ways to get different and what you can apply moving forward. The last piece that I'll add is just saying this. A lot of people say this too. You don't just get to sign up somewhere and become good at it. We've created these sites where you can sign up and be able to jump over on some of this learning curve. Like we said, we didn't have a lot of places we could go. I tell the story all the time of Roto Grinders, a competitor of ours, but it's fine. I still love the guys over there. Don't talk bad about them. Back in the day, I would have to go on. They were the only show in town. You'd have to post a comment on a forum and hope to get a response. Guess how many people responded to the new guy? Speaking of new guy, back then, nobody. It would take forever. You wouldn't get a response. Now you can get in a Discord right away. You can hop in and ask us questions in these live shows and chats. It's just way better, a way that you set it up that you can learn and get better at the game. But remember, even when you learn, this is going to sound preachy, but win or learn is a common saying out there. You lose the money. Yeah, it sucks, but you should know the game that you signed up for. Hopefully you're applying contest selection, bankroll management, all of that. So it's okay. But there is still lessons. A lot of people just played a full regular season of NBA and did not win and had a losing season. A lot of people, a lot of pros, a lot of semi-pros, a lot of good players as well. I had a winning season. It's just the way it went this year. The point is that if you just lost money and that's all you look at from that, it's not going to be a good thing for you playing DFS. There was tons of lessons in there along the way that you can use next year, whether it's your second year or your 8th year that you're going into. There's a lot that you can pick up from that and apply, but part of developing your own process and setting up for getting better next time around, or in golf next week around, it's that difference of actually getting better, learning from your stuff, learning from others, and then working on applying it and being willing to have the patience to sacrifice through a few losing weeks or whatever it takes until you get to your big score and then build it up from there. You don't have to, you can get a lot of stuff on these free shows. So really it's all out there for you. We're trying to help you guys with that.
Chris has a really good question here. What is a good process tip from somebody switching from football to golf? I'll answer this, Tambo. If you have one, you can add one too, but mine's this. In NFL, the chalk gets there so much more frequently because in NFL, you have to factor in things like usage, right? Some guys get more carries than others. Some guys get more targets than others. At PGA, everybody's playing the same amount of holes. 18 for a round of showdown, 72 for an entire event. And so because of that, chalk gets punished so much more frequently in PGA. So I am willing to fade chalk donkeys at PGA so much more frequently than I am at college football or NFL. Do you have anything that's different, Tambo?
Just say that. I mean, obviously we're not fully stacking and stuff. There becomes a time, and we're definitely, when you're watching DJ and me talking, I mentioned earlier, when you were doing wave stacking and looking for advantages that way. But for the most part, because it's the individual sport, it's going to come down to a lot more situational stuff, overall roster construction, not just trying to find the diamond in the rough play of the week that, oh, I know this guy was good in college and he's this am that's coming up. If I get him right, I win. No, you need 5 other guys to go with them. They all need to make the cut, all 6, and then they all need to have a good week. So there's just little things like that. But I definitely think you got to move away from looking at that type of stuff and focus on, again, building out what you think is a better process for yourself. We teach a lot of that stuff, but a lot of it comes down to roster construction, ownership, projections, all the stats, putting all those pieces together. And then if it doesn't work, going back to the drawing board and figuring out the puzzle for the next week.
Hey, there's our winner, Tad Young. What site has Shot Tracker? Yeah, just go to the PGA Tour app. That's the one I use. But if it's anything like last week, that thing was an abomination. It was bad last week. Hopefully they have some sharper 80-year-olds this week running the lasers because that shit was bad last week.
I don't know if he had his picture before, but he added a picture to show you that he's not a tad too young to play these lineups with you.
I don't know. I don't know. That looks like senior prom to me. That could be 17. That could be 17, Tad. I'm going to need to see a driver's license.
It could be.
All right, let's see here. B-Mac, guy who luck sacked and barely beat me in the head-to-head for the F counter this week. What's the narrative this week? I think probably more than any week, other than the Masters, you're going to really hear people talking up course history here. This course has a pretty sticky course history, so I think that will be the prevailing narrative this week. Do you have any other ones that you would add, Tambo?
No, that's definitely it. Played last week, the trends that you'll see, which includes this stuff, and then course history. That's going to be all the narrative this week that you're going to see.
Who's better, approach stats or around the green stat? What's better? Oh, approach stats. If you're literally around the green stats, I'm usually only looking at those courses that are going to be difficult and guys are going to be scrambling their dicks off, right? And a course like this, where I think it is going to probably be somewhere between easy to medium scoring conditions, and I think it's a second shot course, you best believe that approach stats are more important for me this week than around the green. But once again, have your own opinion on this shit. That's just mine. Where would you fall on that, Tambo?
I definitely on approach. Yeah. Around the green is what, again, around the green. Also, you talk about it best. I think it's showdown, where it's like, who cares about around the green? Because if we are playing them in showdown, we want the shots to be on the green where there's opportunities to putt for birdies, eagles, etc. So I'm just not going to focus on that as much. There is some courses with smaller greens where you can look at these things, but honestly, approach is always going to be better for me. So that's the one I'm going to stick with.
All right, I'm going to end it with my girl, Joanne Sluice. Came in 6th in the Ship It Nation free roll. Love it. Joanne, I love you. Congratulations, sister. She's an OG and pretty good at this whole DFS thing. All right, guys, we still got 142 people in here. An hour and 15 minutes into the show. We are going to be doing this every single week, so be checking back. We'll normally do it at noon, not at 1 o'clock. We're busy men, but we'll be back to the normal schedule every week all the way through August. Plan on it. Get here. Get those juices flowing. Hitting the like. Telling people about us. We appreciate every single one of you. Do not forget to go check out dgen75.com because some of these things are going away. The big guy disappears at Waste Management. I got too many effing people signing up for that. It's getting out of control. So if you want in there, you got like 4 weeks or it's never going to be there again. It has been real, guys. We will talk to you later. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Tambo. Can't wait to do this again. See you Wednesday night, 7 o'clock for the live stream. Enjoy this outro, mother father.